Thank you. I'm Ann Schultz. Education in the past 9 years has almost doubled, but student outcomes have declined. What is your opinion on the current funding of the South Dakota education system?
Is it up good enough? All right. You know, the education, public education has been fully funded for many years and goes all the way back to the time where Governor Dugard slashed 10%. I think there's a fallacy in saying that you have to compare the funding as opposed to output. You hear a lot about the different scores that come through, but you know what they don't tell you is this, is what schools have the issues. Because when you look at the scores of the Yankton, when it comes to those testing, you look at it, the Gayville, Volin, Irene, Wakanda, we don't have those issues. And I think the important part of it is to identify those schools that are not meeting the standards, and those funds should be looking at that way. It really bothers me a lot to treat everybody across the state the same, because that's not happening in our education system here.
I think Mike alluded to the fact when 2016, when we had the 10% cutback, we never regained anything. You didn't come back and start. You started at where you were at that 10%. And so as a result of that, we have not been able to fund K through 12. K through 12 is not like what you and I went to school with. Teachers are challenged now with behaviors that students have. They're not just teaching, they're being social workers out there. And when we compare scores, it's real easy to compare, oh, this school is not doing well, or even the scorings that they're using. And we need to emphasize that we need to do well for our students. If they have a strong foundation in a K through 12, then they're going to have success as they go on in post high school in the programming that we are offering here in South Dakota. I think it's really important that we consider what we need to have. We need to relook at it, and we need to look at resources. And I'm going to say the other thing. If the community loses a school, they lose their community. And I can speak from experience to that. The businesses go, everything, because parents, young families want to go to communities that have schools so their kids can stay there. So if we start reducing funding and picking the winners and the losers, that's not going to help the rural communities, because if they're going to sustain, we need to keep them here. Thank you.
It's really easy to go find out what the test scores are for your schools. And the thing about it is 50%. Is 50% good? Is that adequate? Is 30%? Is 70%? So I think I would encourage all of you to go to the Secretary of State or Secretary of Education's website and look at the test scores that are out there right now. Last week, I had the opportunity to speak with a local teacher. Wow. She talked about disrespect from the students. She talked about misbehavior that she's dealing with and no support from parents and administrators. We've got some issues that we have are challenging our schools. And the thing about it is we've got to stop just throwing money. We say funding, funding, funding. We need to start investing. First place we need to start investing in is our K-3. Having been involved with juvenile justice, if you want to know why so many people are incarcerated, it's because of their K-3 education. If they can't read by the time they're third graders, the odds of them being incarcerated is astronomical. Second of all, I would like to see more mentorship programs within our schools. Again, studies have shown that a mentorship program makes a huge difference in kids' lives. I guess also, too, preparing teachers, making teachers are ready for what they have to deal with in our classrooms. This particular teacher I talked to, 4 students with autism that she's dealing with very little training. Career tech programs. Studies show if you have a strong career tech program in your school, kids will remain in school and will be excited about school. Also, too, schools thinking outside the box.
Make sure it's on. Okay. So I'm not extremely well versed in this, but what I've seen and read, I think we need to take the focus off of how to pay the administration, which is not including the teachers, and focus on the students. We need to get back to the basics. There are too many distractions and avenues to funnel money into. We need to go back to the KISS theory. Keep it simple. Our kids deserve and need a quality education for the future of our state. The money matters, but how it is spent matters the most.
So definitely, public education needs to be funded in a way that we can manage from the state level. Enhancing early childhood development is very important, and I think we've got in Yankton County and the Yankton School District, we have one of the best early childhood development centers in the state. Teacher support and in retention. How can we support our teachers more without giving them, cutting their salaries and cutting their budgets every year? For the last 2 years, you've heard that the legislator has given the teachers education 1.25 and 1.4 in the last 2 years. Cost of living increases, which several of you, I think, have gotten over the last 2 years, has been 2.8 to 3%. That means that we're cutting the education system in revenue that should be paid out to the teachers. And there's a bill that says that that money goes to the teachers. It doesn't go to support the administration. So I think the legislation has taken care of that issue in the past couple of years. However, the number that they're funding is low. Curriculum development. We need to work on a curriculum that is not cutting our kids down to K through 3 to where they can't read. We need to develop that to go further. Thanks.